All right, welcome to another edition of Late Night Larry, where I discuss certain popular NASCAR topics from my garage. And a topic that we're going to be talking about here tonight, it happened a couple of days ago. I'm a little late on it. It's actually the teammate of the shirt I'm wearing, Minnie Tyrell, a driver over at Colleague Racing in the Craftsman Truck Series. Daniel Dye has been indefinitely suspended. Like I've said it on, I don't think I said it on Car in the Holler, but I said it on Hit the Pace Car. As long as he does the sensitivity training, I would assume we probably see Daniel Dye here in a couple of weeks. His situation reminds me a lot of the Noah Gragson liking the George Floyd meme situation. Reminds me a lot of Denny Hamlin posting the Family Guy clip where it's like, good luck, everybody else, So I expect we'll probably see Daniel Dye in a couple of weeks. I just wanted to give a little bit of my quick thoughts on the situation. This is a very difficult subject to discuss in modern times, I would say. And first of all, before I really get into anything, I would like to say that I don't agree at all with what Daniel Dye did, what Daniel Dye said. It's not something I would do. I think what Daniel Dye did was completely idiotic and taken way too far. Brent Cruz was also there. I'm glad that Brent Cruz didn't get involved because I'm a big fan of Brent Cruz and I don't want any negativity on his name, and he has a bright future in this sport, and it's nothing against Daniel Dye, but Daniel Dye is going to be a Truck Series, O'Reilly Series driver, maybe get a couple wins in his career at some point, but I think he's average at best in those series. But I do like Daniel Dye. He keeps his cars and his trucks usually very clean. He stays out of trouble, stays out of wrecks, and usually gets the car across the finish line, and teams and owners like that. That's a good thing. That's a good thing to keep your race cars clean because that costs a lot of money to destroy those race cars. But like I said, I don't agree at all with what Daniel Dye did, making fun of David Malukas' voice, all that stuff. I think it's completely uncalled for. But at the same time, I don't think his comments and everything were necessarily showing that he was like a homophobe or something like that, because I do think a lot of people are coming at Daniel Dye, and honestly, Daniel Dye probably deserves it a little bit. Like I said, I think it was pretty idiotic what he did, and he was kind of you're on a live stream, man. You're on a live stream, and it's not like you made like a quick joke about it and moved on. You went on and on and on and on and on and on and on with it. It went on for I know there's like that minute and a half clip that's out there that Mario, I forget the Twitter handle, but I follow him on Twitter. Mario ended up posting on X, and I know it's like a minute and a half, but there is more to that. There was more after that throughout the stream where he's making fun of David Malukas. Obviously, it seems like he doesn't like David Malukas. It sounded like they didn't have a very good interaction at Phoenix Raceway, and he was just honestly just kind of giving him shit, giving him the business. But at the end of the day, I do think it was just a joke taken way, way, way too far. And I just thought it was idiotic. At the same time, like the reason I'm even talking about this, because I think it's just the modern times with social media. You got the cancel culture and all that. Like I said, I'm not condoning or making excuses for what Daniel Dye did, because what I think Daniel Dye did was just completely idiotic, insensitive to a certain degree. I would 100% agree with that. But at the same time, I don't think he's homophobic. I don't think he hates those sort of people or anything like that. I just really think he was making fun of a driver or a person he might not be too fond of and just was making a joke. And like I said, I think he just took it way, way too far. And now he has to face the punishment. And the question is, what happens to Daniel Dye after this? And this is one of the reasons why we also don't see a lot of NASCAR drivers and celebrities out in public, because obviously, like I said, Daniel Dye took this in particular situation way too far and went on for a couple of minutes doing this. But even if he did just briefly do this for like 2 seconds and that was it, he still would probably be in hot water. Honestly, he'd still probably be in hot water. And that's why I think we don't see a lot of celebrities, a lot of NASCAR drivers, a lot of athletes in general just out and about, because everybody got a camera. Everybody's trying to cancel somebody. And like I said, this is just more of a discussion just on the way social media in the world is right now, not even just necessarily Daniel Dye. Because like I said, I think what Daniel Dye did was very stupid, very idiotic. And I would hope that he would take it back if he could. I did see his statement, and he has reacted in the way I kind of expected him to react. He took full acknowledgement and full blame for what he did, but at the same time, he said there was no ill intent. And that's what watching the video, I could tell that there wasn't ill intent or like hate speech or something like that. But you can't joke like that in today's modern age, and in today's social media age. You just can't joke like that, especially when you're someone like at least somewhat famous, like Daniel Dye, who's a Truck Series driver, a full-time driver for Colleague. And I just think it was really idiotic on his part, but at the same time, I hope he's able to learn a lesson from this, go through the sensitivity training and all that, and get back to the Truck Series. Because I feel very similar to this as I felt about the Noah Gragson situation. Was it a bad idea to really like that meme? Whether I think it was probably intentional, but I do keep the outside chance that maybe he just accidentally liked it. But I think he probably liked it and thought it was truly funny, But comedy is subjective. There we go. That's what I was looking for. It's subjective. Everybody has a different opinion on what comedy is, on what funny is, and it's just comedy and jokes and all that run a very fine line between being canceled and not canceled. And like I said, I think Daniel Dye took this way, way, way too far. Maybe if he mentions this for 5 seconds, he might be okay. But truly, I think he probably would have been in hot water. Either way, he's doing a card opening and going on and on about David Malukas' voice. I just think it was really dumb on his part. But at the same time, I'm hoping he's able to get through the sensitivity training and get back in the number 10 Ram truck for Colleague Racing. I would expect to see him out there in probably a couple weeks. We've seen drivers go through the sensitivity training. It's usually a fairly quick process, and I would assume he would probably get through it. And it's not. I've seen some people say, "Oh, it's permanent," but I don't believe that. Like, if it was permanent, why wasn't Larson permanently banned? If anybody should have been permanently banned, it probably should have been Larson, But it is what it is, I guess. Hopefully we're able to figure all this. Hopefully he's able to figure all this out. Colleague, I would assume, would bring Daniel Dye back on board. I don't think Daniel Dye is going to get fired. I know Daniel Dye's father owns a Ram dealership and has a fairly close relationship with Ram coming into NASCAR and Matt Colleague and Chris Rice. And overall, Matt Colleague and Chris Rice remind me a lot of Richard Childress. Not necessarily that they're like blue collar or something like that, but if you're part of their team, your family. I get that sort of vibe from Colleague Racing. Like, I don't always agree with what Richard Childress does, just like how I don't always agree with what Matt Colleague and Chris Rice do. But when you're part of their race teams, you're family, I would say. So I would expect to see Daniel Dye back in the car here in a couple weeks. AJ Allmendinger will be driving at Darlington for Colleague Racing. But like I said, a very difficult subject to talk about, and maybe putting myself a little bit at risk even chatting about it even a little bit. But I just honestly want to get people's opinions on this. Like, what do people think about what Daniel Dye said, and just our overall view on social media, cancel culture, and all that stuff. I really want to just get everybody's opinion on this, no matter what form of life you walk from. I want to get everybody's opinion on this. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on Daniel Dye being indefinitely suspended. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.